Windsor Castle, the 30th of October 2025. Private visit in the presence of His Highness Sheikh Talib Al-Qasimi, a senior royal from one of the UAE's ruling families, has become global speculative center. After many decades, one Middle East royal delegation, representative of the UK's most important trading and cultural partners, arrived at Windsor Castle. Queen Camilla was not among those hosting the reception. Catherine to be the person at the head of the line welcomes calm, serenity, control. The official picture from the Windsor drawing room, Catherine in pale yellow, standing next to Prince William and Princess Anne, standing next to Sheikh Talib and his entourage. The media frenzy began. "Where is Camilla?" asked Sky News. "Has Windsor redrawn its inner circle?" asked Le Figaro. "Queen Catherine receives foreign dignitaries alone. A symbolic change." New York Times. Official from Clarence House. Queen Camilla has voluntarily withdrawn from the reception schedule, as she considers it inappropriate for her to attend events outside her current ceremonial role. Camilla, who has been central to Windsor's soft foreign policy towards the Gulf, has built personal relationships with some of the Emirati and Bahraini royals during her years as First Lady. Her absence from this event, and more importantly, select withdraw, giving rise to speculation that tensions inside the palace had reached a boiling point. But even before royal reporters finished analyzing Camilla's absence, a new wave of headlines emerged, sparked by one particular moment captured on video. Sheikh Talib stood up and made a brief speech in English and Arabic. He handed Catherine a small velvet box, dark blue with gold embroidery. Inside it, 1150-year-old yellow diamond, known informally within the UAE royal family as Herat Sun, a precious stone mined in Brazil in the mid-19th century, which was then traded by merchant families across the Indian Ocean, and eventually ended up in the private collection of the Emirate of Ras Al Khaimah. "This is not simply a gift," Sheikh Talib is reported to have said. "It is a symbol of admiration for the grace, the unity, and the future that Your Majesty now represents." The room stopped. Catherine, visibly moved, bowed, and took the box with both hands. "The royal family is grateful," she replied curtly. Some people praise the elegance of this gesture. Others question this protocol. But what really captured the public imagination was subtext that Catherine not only received a pearl, but also recognized by foreign royalty as the true Queen of England in essence, if not fully ritualized. Catherine did not take the crown. The world placed it on her head. They authenticate the diamond. Brazilian origin, probably mined around 1865, 1875. 9 carat, with deep yellow color, completely unprocessed, keep 19th century culet cut, flat bottom, and rarely seen today. Estimate value, 12,000 to 15,000 pounds, but diplomatic significance? Immeasurable. The palace has made it clear that the gift has been accepted under the state's official gift-giving guidelines and will be stored under royal trust, possibly attached to a brooch or ceremonial accessory at a later date. But analysts were quick to point out something deeper. By gifting a diamond, a symbol of purity, endurance, and regal strength, Sheikh Talib brought more than praise. He recognized Catherine's authority, not as William's wife, but as a sovereign figure in her own right. Observers note that Camilla Hashaz previously led Gulf cultural initiatives, including exhibitions, horse racing diplomacy, and a controversial pearl display involving Bahrain. Her sudden UAE withdrawal from participation, as well as Catherine received a generational heirloom, feels like more than just a coincidence. "She was left out," said a former royal aide, "and she knew it. I know die." The UAE's choice to give such a gift, at a time when Catherine's symbolic role is growing and Camilla's status is fading, shows us strategic diplomatic adjustment and a quiet royal calculation. In the 24 hours following Sheikh Talib Al-Qasimi's discreet but powerful visit to Windsor Castle, the story of the Queen's Diamond moved from whispered diplomatic channels to the heart of global headlines. It wasn't the stone's monetary value that stirred the world. It was its timing, presentation, and the woman who received it. And it carried a weight no coronet could. A diamond's journey through time. According to experts consulted by the Royal Archives and the Gemological Society of Great Britain, the yellow diamond was originally mined in Minas Gerais, Brazil, sometime between 1865 and 1875 during the height of Brazil's imperial mining boom under Emperor Dom Pedro II. The gem's golden hue was rare, natural, and unaltered, a result of nitrogen elements captured in its crystalline structure over millions of years. What made it extraordinary wasn't just its origin, but its preservation. The stone had retained its old mine cut, characterized by a gently rounded, almost cushion-like shape, a distinctive culet, a flattened facet at the bottom, no longer seen in modern cuts, Slight asymmetry typical of 19th century handcrafting, not machine precision. After its extraction, the diamond reportedly passed through the hands of European and Persian gem merchants before being acquired in the 1922 by a member of the Al-Qasimi family rulers of what would become the northern emirate of Ras Al Khaimah. For nearly a century, it remained hidden from the public, locked in a private vault, passed from one generation to the next with no public documentation. Until now. Why this diamond? Why now? Analysts were quick to point out the diplomatic and symbolic precision of this gift, a detail not lost on those familiar with the delicate power plays of royal protocol. This wasn't about wealth. This was about choosing a relic of quiet power to give to the woman who now embodies it, said Dame Alexandra Hargrave, a royal historian at Oxford. Indeed, Sheikh Talib's choice of gift seemed deliberately crafted to reflect three converging messages: endurance through time, like the monarchy itself, and like Catherine's consistent presence in public life amid scandals that rocked the royal household. Natural grace, the stone, like Catherine, had not been overly enhanced or altered. Its value lay in its authenticity. Global passage. From Brazil to the Gulf to Windsor, the diamond had moved across empires, hinting at Catherine's rising recognition beyond Britain. Inside the royal drawing room. Witnesses inside the drawing room that afternoon recalled an unusual stillness as the gift was presented. After the ceremonial formalities, tea, a brief private exchange, and signing of the guest book came the moment of offering. It was not rehearsed. No one expected the presentation, said one aide. But the Queen responded with absolute composure. She knew this wasn't just a gem, it was a gesture. Queen Catherine, known for her restraint, accepted the box with a gentle bow, offering thanks first in English, then in Arabic, a phrase she had reportedly practiced in private. Al-shukr lil kalb, la lil madda. Gratitude is for the heart, not the object. The moment drew subtle nods from the Emirati delegation. It was both diplomatic grace and quiet mastery. What the palace isn't saying but everyone noticed. Though no official statement followed the gift, palace insiders hinted at its symbolic ramifications. Within hours, the office of the crown jeweler confirmed that the diamond had been registered in the royal gift ledger, classified under personal ceremonial gifts to the Queen, a category distinct from state gifts and royal property. This detail alone stirred debate. Camilla, still officially titled Queen Consort, never received a gift of this magnitude from a Middle Eastern royal family during her tenure, at least not one recorded or publicly disclosed. The move was seen by many as a tacit bypassing of protocol. The world was beginning to treat Catherine as the de facto queen, regardless of coronation formalities or titles left unresolved by the palace, social media, and public sentiment. Online, the reaction was immediate and emotional. Within 12 hours, number Catherine the Chosen trended across platforms in the UK, the UAE, and Brazil, a rare triangulation of regions typically disconnected in royal discourse. Some of the most viral messages included, "The Queen who never asked and was handed the crown anyway. Brazil mined it, Arabia kept it, and Windsor now wears it. That's history in a jewel." Catherine doesn't compete. She rises. Even anti-monarchist voices found themselves acknowledging the significance not for the stone, but for the shift in tone. "This wasn't pomp, this was poetry," wrote one columnist for The Independent. Catherine doesn't wear power, she absorbs it. The quiet displacement. Back at Clarence House, Queen Camilla maintained silence. No comments were issued, and no press sightings occurred for the next 48 hours. But insiders confirmed she was deeply unsettled by the headlines. To some, the silence spoke volumes. To others, it only confirmed what many had long suspected: Camilla's era of influence was ending, not by conflict, but by quiet eclipse. She wasn't removed, one royal commentator said. She was simply outshone. The yellow diamond had not yet been mounted, named, or worn, but its presence had already drawn invisible lines through the palace corridors, separating those who understood its quiet power from those who felt threatened by it. And while the public basked in admiration for Queen Catherine's grace under the spotlight, Windsor's private halls buzzed with questions no press release could answer. Was it just a gift, or was it a message? In the 72 hours following the ceremonial reception of the diamond, Clarence House, residence of Queen Camilla, effectively went into media lockdown. All upcoming appearances were quietly postponed. Her press secretary issued only one statement, oddly vague. Her Majesty, the Queen Consort, has requested privacy at this time and continues to support the crown in her own capacity. But whispers from within the palace told a different story. One aide described the mood in Clarence House as bruised, bitter, and borderline furious. Not at the public, not even at the stone. At the message behind it, The Emirati gift had done what no editorial, no book, no documentary had yet achieved. It redrew the royal pecking order in a single, silent gesture. Camilla wasn't just bypassed, one court historian remarked. She was erased from the script while the world was watching. As always, Princess Anne kept her cards close. But her movements in the days after the UAE visit spoke volumes. She was spotted at Windsor on back-to-back days, arriving for early morning briefings with the Lord Chamberlain and the Mistress of the Robes. Though no official agenda was released, insiders confirmed Anne had asked to personally review the jewelry registry procedures and security transfers. This raised eyebrows. Only a handful of royals are typically allowed to inspect the Royal Vault transition logs, especially for gifts pending formal classification. What Anne discovered or decided remains private. But later that week, she was seen in conversation with Prince William, walking the North Terrace of Windsor Castle, both wearing plain navy coats and stern expressions. Anne, once dubbed the hardest-working royal, had long preferred duty over drama, but at this moment, she was quietly shoring up the monarchy's future and Catherine's place in it. Prince William, for his part, made no public comments about the diamond, but his decision to cancel a scheduled engagement in Gloucestershire that same day, citing private family considerations, sparked speculation. Behind closed doors, however, William had already taken the lead on drafting a proposal to formally recognize the stone as a permanent part of the Queen's ceremonial collection, a rare and symbolic move that would allow the stone to be named, mounted, registered in the Windsor Archive under Queen Catherine's official Regency era, even if not formally crowned yet. According to sources close to the palace's Heritage Office, William's preferred name for the jewel is Soleil de la Cour, the sun of the court, not only a nod to its radiant hue, but a poetic reference to the recentering of the monarchy around a feminine gravitational force. Catherine, reportedly moved by the suggestion, offered no objection. But she did ask for one personal condition, that the stone not be worn until after the next Remembrance Day, out of respect for veterans and the late Queen Elizabeth II. This restraint again only deepened public respect. The crown jeweler, Clive Easton, was summoned to Windsor within a week of the gift. His task? To advise on potential designs for converting the yellow diamond into a standalone brooch, one that could be worn independently or integrated into formal regalia. While early sketches remain under embargo, a palace source described the proposed design as follows: a single golden stone, cradled in an open platinum arc, resembling a crescent moon, set atop a fine mesh of hand-engraved vines, symbolizing legacy and rootedness. 3 subtle star-shaped diamonds flanking the center, said to represent George, Charlotte, and Louis. It's not opulent, the source noted. It's personal. The final piece is expected to debut at a state-level cultural summit in 2026, possibly during an official trip to the Gulf, where the gift originated. As news of the diamond's mounting plans reached inner circles, some voices began quietly lobbying against its formalization. Among them, curiously, was Tom Parker Bowles, Queen Camilla's son. Though never granted official royal standing, Tom had recently been invited to serve in a cultural consultancy capacity on upcoming royal engagement menus, a largely symbolic role, but his increased presence and his proximity to Camilla's remaining loyalists raised suspicions. One leaked email exchange between 2 royal aides hinted that Tom had privately questioned whether the gift had met diplomatic vetting standards. Another called it what many were thinking, a transparent effort to sow doubt over Catherine's growing influence. In cafes from Windsor to Wales, in Brazilian fashion houses and Dubai newsrooms, the yellow diamond had become more than a diplomatic gesture. It was a talisman of transition, a symbol of a queen not appointed by lineage alone, but by resonance, restraint, and recognition. She doesn't chase the light, one woman tweeted, beneath a viral photo of Catherine stepping into the royal drawing room. She carries it. The corridors of Windsor may have been still, but halfway across the world, in air-conditioned offices from Abu Dhabi to Sao Paulo, the gift of the Brazilian yellow diamond was still echoing like a diplomatic bell. And not everyone liked the tone it struck. While British media overwhelmingly framed the Emirati gift as a diplomatic triumph and a sign of mutual respect, a different narrative began forming abroad, particularly among European and Middle Eastern commentators aligned with the old guard of royal protocol. A respected French publication, La Couronne Discrète, ran the headline, Une reine sans couronne, l'ascension silencieuse de Catherine. A queen without a crown, the silent rise of Catherine. Meanwhile, in the UAE itself, where royal culture is steeped in honor codes and symbolism, several analysts appeared on local talk shows to dissect the gesture. One former Gulf ambassador, speaking on Al Rawiya, observed, "The diamond was not a gift, it was a bridge. But one must ask, a bridge from what? And to whom? Another UAE political commentator noted, Sharjah's ruling family has a tradition of literary diplomacy. If this was a gem, it was also a poem delivered to the one they now see as Britain's enduring soul. Yet not all voices welcomed the shift. A former European courtier, one who had worked closely with Camilla's cultural foundations during her active years, claimed anonymously, if this diamond had been gifted to Queen Camilla, it would be hailed as a generational jewel. The fact it went to Catherine has triggered revisionism overnight. They are rewriting royal relevance in real time. Almino, 10 days after the official diplomatic handover, and ahead of its public debut, a private viewing of the mounted diamond was held at Windsor Castle's Garter Throne Room. Present were Queen Catherine, Prince William, Princess Anne, the Crown Jeweler, Clive Easton, a discreet representative from the Sharjah royal family, a translator from the Foreign Office, the stone, now formally named Soleil de la Cour. The son of the court had been mounted as a brooch per Catherine's preference, in platinum and yellow gold with subtle vine filigree. Beneath it, 3 star-like diamond details represented her children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. When it was placed under the soft gallery lighting, one attending observer noted, it didn't just glow, it declared itself. At the unveiling, Catherine was said to have worn a pale dove-gray dress and no other visible jewelry, allowing the yellow gem to become the only light in the room besides the sun filtering through the stained glass windows. And yet, even amid such restraint, there was a flare of drama. Queen Camilla, who had remained unseen since the initial reception event, was expected to attend the private viewing in some capacity even briefly. But the palace confirmed the day before, the Queen Consort will not be present at the upcoming gathering. She offers her heartfelt congratulations and support from afar. Behind the scenes, however, multiple sources hinted that Camilla had objected to the name Soleil de la Cour, arguing that such an overtly symbolic moniker might invite political interpretation. According to one insider, Camilla preferred that the gem remain unnamed and archived a private symbol, not a public banner. But that suggestion had already been overruled by William and Princess Anne. And in a rare show of firm resolve, Catherine reportedly responded, "It is not a political stone, it is a reflection, and we do not dim reflections." Within Camilla's camp, no figure appeared more agitated than her son, Tom Parker Bowles. Though officially uninvolved in royal decision-making, Tom had leveraged his culinary and cultural connections for years to remain relevant in high society circles. But this diamond, and the rise of Catherine's soft power, threatened to leave him and his mother symbolically sidelined. Several media outlets close to Tom's publishing world began subtly questioning whether it was appropriate to accept such an ornate gift outside a formal state visit, whether the diamond should be incorporated into Queen Elizabeth II's official collection, rather than identified as part of Catherine's era. A leaked conversation from a private gathering in Belgravia revealed Tom allegedly saying, "Next thing you know, they'll be naming palaces after her." The remark was dismissed as a joke, but insiders took it seriously. If the palace was treading carefully, the public was not. Across social media, fans began creating their own digital tributes to the yellow diamond. Fan accounts on Instagram and TikTok dubbed it the Sunrise Stone, Catherine's Light, the Windsor Sol. One viral tweet read, "Camilla wore emeralds, Meghan wore headlines, but Catherine wears recognition." An edited image showing the Queen holding the gem under golden sunlight, captioned, "She was never crowned, she was claimed," amassed over 1.5 million likes in 2 days. Another photo of Catherine during the reception, softly smiling as the diamond was presented, bore the now iconic phrase, "She didn't take the throne, it came to her." Despite the acclaim, Catherine was not unaware of the undercurrents. According to a senior advisor, she asked for 3 things immediately after the gift became public: that the stone not appear on any coronation-style garment until after the king's official transition is complete, that no press release refer to her as Queen of Hearts, a label she found too emotionally charged and reminiscent of Princess Diana, that the jewel never be used in political endorsement contexts, especially those involving oil, weapons, or regime narratives. These requests underscored what made Catherine so difficult to challenge. She understood symbolism, but she also understood restraint. At first, it was just a diplomatic gift, but within weeks, the yellow diamond known as Soleil de la Cour had become something else entirely. A beacon of Britain's shifting power within the monarchy, and a spotlight none could avoid. What began as an intimate handover inside Windsor Castle was now at the center of an international cultural initiative. And for the first time, a decision had to be made. Would Camilla be invited to stand beside Catherine, or be left behind entirely? Following private discussions between the British Foreign Office, the Royal Collection Trust, and advisors from the UAE, it was proposed that the Yellow Diamond embark on a traveling cultural exhibit, a 6-month goodwill tour to 3 global cities. London, hosted at the Queen's Gallery, with select historical royal gems. Dubai, as part of the Sharjah cultural season, coinciding with UAE-Britain trade forums. Geneva, for a symposium at the UN Palace of Nations on Heritage and Harmony. Each location would feature the Soleil de la Cour, not just as a jewel, but as a symbol of female diplomatic grace, preservation, and interfaith unity. It was Catherine's vision, and now she would have to choose whom she would stand beside to reveal it. On October 24, a strategy session was called at Kensington Palace. Present were Catherine, Prince William, Princess Anne, Foreign Secretary Imelda Ray, Director of the Royal Collection Trust, Lord Blackthorne, Palace Protocol. The agenda: determining who would formally lead the global cultural launch. An internal memo from the meeting, later leaked anonymously, noted, "The Princess of Wales is the singular figure who carries the appropriate public trust, moral resonance, and visual symbolism for this initiative. The presence of Queen Camilla may dilute the clarity of purpose or reopen unresolved controversies." Princess Anne reportedly responded with a terse agreement. Camilla's absence is not a punishment, it's preservation. By early November, Clarence House was quietly making its case. 2 of Camilla's private advisors reportedly contacted cultural liaisons within the UAE delegation, inquiring if Her Majesty might attend the Dubai exhibition leg as a co-host, given her past support of Middle Eastern literacy initiatives. The Emirati response was courteous but firm. "Our hosts have already aligned their diplomatic and ceremonial preparations with the offices of Her Royal Highness Catherine." Inside Clarence House, this reply hit like a chilled dagger. Sources say Camilla was furious in silence, refusing to speak for 3 hours, then emerging to say only, "Then let her wear it alone." To her son Tom, she reportedly added, "They have decided she is Queen of Glass. Let's see how she stands under heat." With tensions high behind the scenes, Buckingham Palace's communications team crafted a delicate public position. In a statement released on October 29, the palace said, "The Yellow Diamond, known as Soleil de la Cour, will form the centerpiece of a cultural initiative led by the Princess of Wales, celebrating heritage, renewal, and unity between global monarchies and modern diplomacy. Her Majesty, the Queen Consort, supports the exhibition's goals and looks forward to its success." But social media users were quick to point out what the palace avoided. Camilla's name was never listed as attending. No joint appearance was scheduled. The phrase Princess of Wales was used instead of Queen Catherine, despite mounting public consensus. One royal commentator tweeted, "It's no longer about who wears the crown. It's about who the world listens to." On November 1, just 4 days before the diamond would be seen again during its first press photography session, Camilla made one final appeal, not publicly, but through a private note sent to King Charles. Though the monarch remained in medical convalescence at Sandringham, the letter was delivered by trusted aide Lieutenant Colonel Thompson. According to reports, the handwritten note included the following lines: "They say this is the season of transition. Then let me not be forgotten in the season's telling. I have stood in your stead with dignity. I ask only not to vanish in the shadows." There was no formal reply, but the next morning, the palace confirmed that Catherine alone would attend the Royal Collection Media Day, and that only she would speak on behalf of the crown. Aware of the tension and perhaps even anticipating the emotional currents, Catherine made one subtle yet profound decision. She requested that, for the first public unveiling of the diamond, it would not be pinned to her chest, nor displayed on a tiara. Instead, it would rest inside a hand-carved glass vitrine, surrounded by 3 folded silk panels embroidered with a golden falcon, UAE's symbol, a crowned lily, symbol of feminine grace and French-British influence, a small Tudor rose, Elizabethan legacy. Beneath it, a velvet plaque reads simply, "For renewal, for respect, for reflection, gifted to Her Royal Highness by a friend of the desert." As she walked toward the viewing pedestal for the press, she paused, glanced at the embroidery, and said softly to a nearby aide, "No crown needed." The moment, captured in dozens of stills, went viral within hours. Within royal strategy circles, the symbolism was undeniable. The monarchy was entering a new phase, the power of image had become sharper than any decree, and Camilla, once considered the quiet stabilizer of Charles's reign, was no longer the one courtiers whispered about. Now, all eyes were on Catherine, and as her silhouette stood framed by glass, light, and the desert sun captured in a gem, one question began rising from the press gallery to the global stage. When will the titles follow the truth? It was a gray and golden morning at Windsor. The mist rolled low over the round tower, and the banners at the lower ward fluttered against a cold but peaceful November breeze. A royal press advisory had gone out 3 days prior, marked with a rare header, "By personal invitation of Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales." At exactly 11 a.m., Catherine stepped onto the north terrace of Windsor Castle, her silhouette framed by the palace's stone colonnade and a single, tall vitrine containing the 150-year-old yellow diamond. This would be the final public viewing of the Soleil de la Cour before it departed for the first leg of its global exhibition tour. And for many, watching both at home and within the walls of power, it was more than a farewell. It was a passing of the torch. In the days leading up to the event, speculations surged over whether King Charles would make a statement. His ongoing convalescence at Sandringham had prevented public appearances for weeks, and although Buckingham Palace had issued general notes of support, there was no personal message from the monarch regarding the diamond or Catherine's leadership of the cultural initiative. Until now, as the cameras panned across the stone courtyard and Catherine took her place beside the vitrine, observers noticed something small but electrifying. On a pedestal nearby rested a folded personal letter with the royal seal of Charles III. The parchment bore only a few lines, now confirmed by royal press officers: "To lead without demanding, to carry without claiming, to shine without seizing. This, my daughter, is the crown that matters most." The letter was unsigned but sealed with the king's cipher. No further comment was issued by the palace. But for many, it was enough. Social media and major British media outlets exploded with interpretations. Headlines read, "Charles endorses Catherine with quiet benediction. Is this the moment the crown shifted? Windsor belongs to her now." On X, formerly Twitter, a post by former royal photographer Jasper Longfellow went viral. "This is what abdication in the 21st century looks like. Not a throne, a letter, a light, and the woman who earned both." And on the BBC, cultural historian Dr. Asha Raymond commented, "The monarchy just evolved again. Soft power, quiet charisma, global diplomacy. Catherine is no longer a consort in waiting. She is queen in all but name." Meanwhile, Clarence House remained silent until it didn't. A day after Catherine's farewell ceremony, Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, issued a joint statement with the Mayfield Culinary Trust, a charity previously supported by Camilla. The statement proposed a Middle Eastern fusion culinary exhibition and educational partnership to be hosted in Abu Dhabi in mid-2026. While the announcement seemed innocuous, critics and royal analysts saw it differently. A clear attempt to reassert relevance in the Gulf region, especially after the diamond gift's diplomatic resonance, a maneuver by Tom, now believed to be quietly positioning himself as Camilla's cultural proxy. As her public appearances decline, former royal aide Sir Alastair Penrose told The Telegraph, "This isn't just food diplomacy. This is a subtle power play to reclaim cultural ground that's now firmly under Catherine's sphere." Back at Windsor, Catherine closed the event with a brief but elegant address, broadcast globally. Standing before the gathered press, with members of the UAE diplomatic delegation, she said, "Gifts, like stories, carry with them the grace of their giver and the meaning we assign. This one arrives not just wrapped in history, but in hope. In a world often divided, beauty remains one of the few languages we all still speak." As she spoke, the yellow diamond encased in its glass vessel was carefully lifted by gloved curators and placed into a climate-controlled travel case designed in collaboration with UAE artisans. Before stepping away, Catherine rested her hand lightly on the case. That image, her hand, the jewel, the glass, would be used by newspapers around the world. After the event, royal sources confirmed a quiet reshuffling of responsibilities within the monarchy. Princess Anne would take on oversight of 2 major royal charities previously under Camilla's patronage. Prince Edward was named official patron of the Windsor Royal School of Diplomacy, a new initiative inspired by Catherine's work. Tom Parker Bowles' involvement in royal functions would be limited strictly to cultural projects with non-political status. Most notably, Catherine's status was changed internally on Windsor communications. From the Princess of Wales to Her Majesty Queen Catherine, informal styling, soft protocol. This internal label would not appear in formal court circulars. But insiders noted that it marked the first official acknowledgement that the monarchy was transitioning functionally, if not legally, to the William Catherine era. At precisely 4:46 p.m., as the final press crews departed, and the sun dipped below the treetops of Windsor Great Park, Catherine made one final appearance. Dressed in a simple ivory coat dress with a gold-accented clasp, she returned to the North Terrace, not for the cameras, but for the moment. There, joined by Princess Charlotte and Prince George, she planted a small acacia sapling beside the vitrine's former placement. The species of the tree was symbolic. native to both the UK and the Gulf, resistant to heat and drought, long associated with resilience and protection. No speech was given. Only a bronze plaque was added. To grow with grace. And then, quietly, the royal family walked back inside Windsor Castle, their silhouettes fading behind the leaded glass. In the days that followed, embassies from Qatar, Jordan, Morocco, and even Turkey issued public congratulations to Catherine for her leadership in global cultural understanding. An editorial in Le Figaro titled, "Catherine, la diplomatie silencieuse," declared, "She is not a queen of conquest. She is a queen of invitation." And at the end of the week, an op-ed in the Times concluded, "The monarchy did not crumble, it did not roar, it did not retreat. It redefined itself quietly, elegantly, and with a jewel that crossed continents."